Trying to get everything in order. My laptop is experiencing technical difficulties. I don't have my regular laptop, so using the backup. Apologize for that, folks. And we could kill this guy because it's useless. Okay. So we're going to get things in order. Sorry about that, folks. I'm experiencing technical difficulties because I'm using a backup laptop because my current laptop is being occupied at the moment. Someone's borrowing it, so okay, that's what it is right now. Anyway, sorry, folks. You kidding me? Okay, hold on. Zoom on. Okay, for some reason there is a banner across. Okay. All right, so I think we can get started right now. This live. Thank y'all for tuning into this live. I know I'm probably the only one at the moment, but that's okay. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, welcome to this live. Rather impromptu live again. I apologize for the technical difficulties from earlier. I'm going to use straight from my iPhone at the moment. Should have scheduled my stuff from the iPhone to begin with. But anyway, please continue to like, comment, share, subscribe. I know I've been getting a lot of love on my YouTube channel. I appreciate it for real. But please continue to like, comment, share, subscribe. Even if you do not like what I have to say, you probably don't like what I have to say tonight. But either way, you're gonna be glad you did, and I'll be glad you did. So please do all that stuff. And check out my website, www.theclowntimes.net. I haven't updated my website in about a couple of weeks. I've been busy with work, my day job, and all that good stuff. So anyway, just check me out there. And yeah, so let's get this started. So basically, I normally don't do lives. This is like my second live. My first live was, basically me just shooting the breeze after the Super Bowl. But what's been going on with the scuttlebutt about Florida State and dissatisfaction with the ACC from a monetary perspective, kind of inspired me to do this live tonight because I have a lot to say. And fellow ACC fans, maybe inside the Florida State fandom, may agree with me. But yeah, so one thing about the conference realignment, man, it's fun. It's straight up fun. I mean, all this pontificating about who's going to land where, how they're going to land there, how much it's going to cost to get out of whatever grant of rights or whatever agreement that a particular conference that's going on. Lots of fun stuff to talk about. But anyway, this is Florida State. Florida State is just making news, man, because apparently the athletic director, Michael Alford, had a meeting with the Board of Trustees earlier this week. Well, actually, was it over the week? I think it was over the weekend. And basically saying that something has to change. It's a quote, something has to change when it comes to closing the revenue gap that's growing year after year after year between the ACC, the Big Ten, and the big bad SEC, aka the Beast, right? So basically, after all this got out, the news got out, he talked to ESPN earlier Friday, I think it was, explaining about the news that got leaked. Basically, after, he made his feelings known after the ACC winning meetings with athletic directors discussing the possibility of having uneven revenue sharing, right? But every time, I don't know about you, every time I hear the phrase uneven revenue sharing, I think, someone's not satisfied with the payout. Someone's thinking that they are driving much of the revenue. And they're also saying, without saying it, that the school has other member institutions, fellow institutions in this conference, that's not pulling their weight. And whenever you hear that, you start to think, okay, whoever institution brings up the idea of uneven revenue sharing, they're looking for a way out. They're greasing the skids, greasing the tracks of the independent exit whenever that time comes, right? And in Florida State's case, and I'll explain to you why in a moment, that probably won't come for a very long time. By a very long time, in the college football world, that's probably around 10 years. And we'll go into that momentarily. But basically, let's just explain the background of this. What the issue is, what Florida State's issue is, and which is a very valid issue, first of all. This is not to slam Florida State. This is valid, okay? And what Mike Alford has been doing is what any athletic director who's worth a damn would do. You know, just basically doing some fact checking, basically doing his due diligence, right? His or her due diligence, and just finding out just following the money, essentially, what the money is. If the math is mathing, right? As my son would like to say. But here's the issue. The ACC is already behind the SEC and the Big Ten. We all know that, right? So because essentially the SEC, the Big Ten, is essentially a power two in terms of revenue. We all know that. But this is how bad things are looking at the ACC for those of you who don't know or are not really in tune with the numbers. I just want to hear it again. The ACC is falling behind about $30 million per year when the SEC's and the Big Ten's contracts kick in next year. Well, actually, the Big Ten this year, 2023, and the SEC next year in 2024. So basically, he's like he being Mike Alford, see pretty much like something has to change. He says something has to change, I'm reading the quote here, because we cannot compete nationally being $30 million behind every year. It is not 1 year. We're talking $30 million compounded year after year after year. I get it. I totally get it. And there's more facts about the ACC's contract. So first of all, let's just talk about how bad this contract is. The ACC is locked in this television deal that expires in 2036. This is during the time where not only the Big Ten, the SEC have re-upped in 5-year increments, which is smart because you can get, you can come back to the table, get another bite of the apple quicker than usual, especially during this era of streaming. But even the Big 12, after Oklahoma's and Texas's announced departure to the SEC, which kicked up all of this in the first place, they were able to secure a deal, a 5-year deal, that may not be as much as the ACC's on average per institution right now, but they get to have another bite at the apple, or maybe 2 more bites at the apple before the ACC's contract expires. The current contract expires in 2036. So basically, when it was all said and done by 2035, the Big 12 may be lapping the ACC in terms of revenue average per institution. And this is after Oklahoma and Texas departing for the SEC. That's how bad that contract was that former Commissioner John Swofford signed with the ACC in order to secure the ACC network. That's how bad that contract was because if you look at ESPN's side of things, aside from Florida State winning a national title, well, actually getting on the heels of winning the national title in 2013, this was, I think, set up in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. So this is after Florida State won the national title, okay? But outside of that, and Clemson coming on and say, but outside of that, the ESPN is like, okay, we have you over barrel because outside of Florida State and Clemson, what other good brands do you have? So understandably, that's why John Swofford, former Commissioner John Swofford, operated from a position of weakness. It's not to say he couldn't have gotten a better deal, but I'm just laying the groundwork as to background as to why they have a terrible deal. So basically, even though the ACC has been increasing in distribution, monetarized year after year after year, for example, they distributed a record $578 million for the 2020-2021 season. That was during the pandemic year. Okay, so that was a record. But meanwhile, the SEC distributed $721 million from 2021 to 2022. And this is before the new deal kicks in. And the Big Ten, I have the Big Ten numbers in front of me, but it's in that ballpark, give or take a little bit less. So this is what Florida State's AD, this is what come to find out Clemson's AD, and this is also probably what North Carolina's AD, that's what they're looking at. That's what they're looking at right now. So that's why Florida State's AD and like I said, Clemson's AD are starting to look into uneven revenue sharing. And so this is what advice I have, unsolicited advice, mind you, I have for current ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips, which I kind of feel bad for him because he came into this mess not knowing. He should have known what's going on, right? The background, but he didn't create this mess. He wasn't a reactive commissioner like John Swafford was. So he's like coming in like, holy crap, what the hell do I do, right? I totally get it, Commissioner. But if I'm advising from an unpaid role, of course, Jim Phillips, I would say no, hell no, to uneven revenue sharing. Because we've seen what has happened in collegiate sports at the highest level, what happens to conferences that employs or have ever employed uneven revenue sharing. First of all, that's why the Big East got destroyed on the football side, because of uneven revenue sharing. That's how the ACC was able to poach the likes of Miami, Boston College, Virginia Tech, later on Pitt and Syracuse. That's how they were able to get those guys. It was because, well, that's one reason, but that's how they're able to snatch those guys in the Big East. But if you look at others like the Big 12 and the Pac-12 that has had uneven revenue sharing, what's the common denominator of those two conferences? That's right. They had the biggest brands leave anyway, right? Like the Pac-12 had uneven revenue share so that UCLA and USC would get most of the money. Because why? They were the brands. They had the biggest market. Regardless of how, even though SC hasn't been all that consistently great on the football field lately, I know that they had a great year last year, but that's just last year. UCLA is still trying to build itself back. They had a pretty good year last year as well, but they've been down for a while in football to the point where Washington and Oregon, usually just Oregon and Utah, have been carrying the banner. That shouldn't be the case if they're not your brands doing so. And then, of course, we know what happened in the Big 12. I said earlier, Oklahoma and Texas, they got most of the money. And Texas got the most, even with a network that no one watched outside of Texas alums. No one watched it. It turned out to be a big dud for ESPN, right? And that was the thing that kept the Big 12 together when the Pac-12, way back when, tried to poach 6 of its institutions to become the Pac-16. People tend to forget that the Pac-12 or Pac-10 at the time came this close to killing off the Big 12. Came very close. It turned out that the Longhorn Network, ESPN's creation, was what kept the Big 12 together at the time from being destroyed by the Pac-10, then the Pac-10. So you have all that in mind in the background. What do you think is going to happen with the ACC when 2020 2031 or 2030 comes rolling around, like 5 or so odd years before this grant of rights expires in 2036. Florida State's going to get the hell out anyway. Maybe Clemson as well, maybe Carolina. So if you're Jim Phillips, why would you do this anyway? Sure, some of the conference members may not fight back. Wake Forest is probably good at where they're at. Same with Boston College. Same with Syracuse. Hell, probably same with Pitt. They're happy to get 30 some odd million a year, which is, I think, averaged out, I said earlier, to 38.5 million per school. That was as of 2020 to 2021. So they're happy. But I heard someone say on the show, actually on Joe Ovius' show on 99.9 The Fan FM, shout out to them. I heard them say that there are like 4 schools in the ACC which this deal is bad for. I mentioned them: Florida State, Clemson, Carolina, and Miami, because those are your brands. And this deal may be okay, just okay, for 2 other schools, Virginia Tech and NC State, my alma mater. As of the rest of them, they think this deal is great. Right? And so even though Virginia is a brand of itself, as an academic brand, I mean, it's Ivy League level. And the Big Ten and the SEC would love to have them in Carolina. But this is what you're looking at. So what is the ACC without those top 4 brands? I mean, it's diminished, right? So this is so basically, if I'm Jim Phillips, I'd hold steady. I still try to work out a plan. I would still try to earn my keep, if you will, to earn my money, to earn my salary, and try to devise ways of increasing revenue. Maybe going back to ESPN. I'm sure he's probably done that. He's a smarter man than I am. Go back to ESPN and talk to them. Probably go out on the limb for the pie, the highest of the pies in the sky, and holler at Notre Dame and say, "Hey, yo, you made your most money during the pandemic year when you pulled all your money with us. What's up, right? What's good? Come holler at us." So he has. I mean, I don't envy Jim Phillips right now. I don't envy him, and I know he's a younger dude as far as commissioners go, but he's going to be aging in dog years pretty soon. So I just feel bad for the man. I just feel bad for him. But I got one more thing to say regarding Florida State's leading the charge, voicing this displeasure with the ACC's current media deal with ESPN. Again, I don't fault Florida State for wanting more money. I don't fault anyone for wanting more. If you don't want any more money, where it comes from your career, institution, company, whatnot, what the hell are you doing? Of course you want to Of course you want to have more money. But here's what I say to Florida State, their fans. Before I do so, I must throw out the disclaimer, a caveat, if you will. My mother's family is from Tallahassee, Florida. My mother grew up in Brooklyn, New York, mind you, back in the day, but all my mom's friends are from Tallahassee, Florida, right? Now, mind you, most of them are Florida A&M Rattlers, okay? Maybe a few went to Florida State or took classes at Florida State, but as a result of my family's Tallahassee origins, I've been a Florida State football fan since I was a little boy. Okay, so I'm not coming at y'all from hate. Sure, with the NC State, I love my Wolfpack, but I'm a Florida State football fan first. I just am. And so these past years have been breaking my heart. Okay, ever since I've been longing for the Bobby Bowden years, trust me on that, and that 2 good years of Jimbo Fisher. But this has to be said to Florida State Nation, Seminole Nation. What the hell have you done to help this? This is what I mean by this. If you guys were so good in football, if you guys did not fall off along with the University of Miami, along with Clemson for a few years in the 2000s, in the early 2000s, would not be in this position as a conference in the first place. We wouldn't be in this position. We just wouldn't. Let's look at what's been going on at Florida State post 1999 when they won their second national title under Bobby Bowden. All right, they win 11-2, and I made this quick, but you know what? I got time, but I won't delay it. They won 11-2 in 2000, lost in the Orange Bowl, finished 5th in the nation in the AP poll. Then this is where the lean year starts. In 2001, we finished 8-4, won the Gator Bowl, but finished 15th. And this will be the first time under the Bobby Bowden era since 1987 that they did not finish, starting from 87 to 2000, that they did not win more than 10 or more games. Okay? Because the following year, 2002, we went 9-5, lost the Sugar Bowl. Went 10-3. Well, we won 10 games. There's a 10 again in 2003, rather, but we lost in the Orange Bowl. 2004, went 9-3, won the Gator Bowl, but coming with Florida State. We don't sell for Gator Bowls. 2005, went 8-5, lost in the Orange Bowl, finished 23rd in the nation. In 2006, 2007, we had our wins vacated. So let's skip to 2008. Went 9-4, won the Champs Sports Bowl, but finished 21st in the AP poll. We went 7-6 in 2009, won the Gator Bowl. Then entered Jimbo Fisher. Went 10-4, won the Chick-fil-A Bowl, but finished 17th in the nation. The following year, in 2011, we went 9-4, won the Champs Sports Bowl, but finished 23rd in the nation. Then in 2012, we won 12 games and finished 12-2. Cool. Awesome. But because we had those two losses, we were out of national championship contention, but we won the Orange Bowl, finished 10th in the country. And then the golden year, 2013, finished 14-0, won the BCS national championship game in this last year of the BCS. Finished number 1 in the country, beat Auburn. And that last second, Jameis Winston's touchdown pass. Thing of glory. It was beautiful. And it was in the Rose Bowl. So, I think it was the Rose Bowl. But anyway, yeah. So 2014, I should say, we went 13-1. We were in the college football playoff in this first year of inception. Lost to the Rose Bowl to Oregon. Got stumped by Oregon, actually. The following year, we went 10-3, lost the Peach Bowl to Houston, finished 14th for the nation. Went 10-3, 2016, which turned out to be the next two last year of Jimbo Fisher's tenure. Won the Orange Bowl, but finished 8th in the nation. And 2017, Jimbo Fisher skips town near the end of the season. We finished 7-6, won the Independence Bowl, big whoop. So enter Willie Taggart. Need I talk about Willie Taggart's era, all right? But anyway, we finished 5-7, then make a bowl for the first time in several years. 2019, we finished 6-7. Willie Taggart gets fired midseason, lost in the Sun Bowl. Enter Mike Norvell. 2020, we finished 3-6. 2021, finished 5-7. But 2022, this past year, we finished 10-3, won a Cheez It Bowl, beat Oklahoma, finished 11th overall. So, What am I trying to say with all this? We're in this predicament, Florida State. You're in this predicament not because of the revenue. It's because you sucked. We sucked in football. As you know, we've been making bad decisions in the football department. That's why we're in the trouble shape that we're in right now. So, Florida State, if you really want to get paid, if you really want this conference to flourish, be good at football again. Okay? Yes, we had a decent season last year. We had a good season last year. But with Florida State, we should be better than finishing with 3 losses at the end of the season. We should be better than Clemson. We got the resources. We're in Florida for crying. The state of Florida for crying out loud. Come on, son. All right. So where does it lead the ACC? What's the future of the ACC? Okay, look. I've seen lots of YouTube channels. I've heard many radio shows on SiriusXM toting the impending death of the ACC as we know it. Ladies and gentlemen, since the grant of rights expires in 2036, we're 15 years away. Actually, no, we're 13 years away, from worrying about such things. I would start to worry if I'm the ACC maybe 10 years from now, in 2033, when we're 3 years away from the ESPN deal as it's constituted right now, expiring. Okay. I would say this when I get to it. Now, I would say this. I would start to worry if I'm an ACC fan if Jim Phillips sits on his ass and does nothing. If things are as status quo as they are right now, I will start to worry. Because let's face it, folks, the SEC and the Big Ten, after the new media deals kick in, they're going to double dip twice. They're going to get 2 bites at the apple. They're going to get a bite at the apple of the SEC's case in 2029, I think, or 2029 or 2030. They're going to get another bite of the apple in 2035 or 2036. And if things stay the way they are right now, the ACC, in terms of the current media deal they have with ESPN, then that's when I suspect the SEC and the Big Ten, because they both get 2 bites at the apple at around the same time. That's when I expect both conferences to push to rip apart the ACC. And not to mention the Big 12 being the ultimate wild card, because they get to double dip. They get another bite at the apple as well. Maybe 2 more bites at the apple. I'm not too clear on their media deal, but I think it's 5 years. And if that's the case, they get to have another bite of the apple before the ACC gets to re-up. So if they stand pat, if Jim Phillips' company stands pat, they're going to be further behind the SEC and the Big Ten, and they may be behind the Big 12. So, again, it's too early to worry right now. We're years away from anything seriously happening. That's why I say give it 10 years. Because the grant rights expire as of 2036. After the 2035 season, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why I say start to worry in 10 years. Maybe 9 years in 2032. Because again, if Jim Phillips sits on his ass and does nothing, the ACC is finished as we know it. They may not even be a Power 5. Because if you're talking about Florida State, Clemson, Miami, and Carolina leaving, and don't think Virginia won't leave either, because that's Carolina's partner. They have the oldest rivalry in the South. At least one of the oldest rivalries in the South. I know Auburn and Georgia is the oldest rivalry in the Deep South. But nevertheless, if you take those 2 big brands out of ACC, what do you have? I mean, you're the ACC, who are you going to replace those 4 or 5 schools with? Appalachian State, East Carolina, Coastal Carolina? Really? South Florida? Really? So, again, look, this is all I have to say. I'm going to wrap things up by saying this. It's too early to worry. We're years and years away of anything significant happening. As long as Jim Phillips earns his paycheck, does something to get the ACC more revenue on a yearly basis, talking to ESPN, somehow Jedi mind tricking Notre Dame into joining the conference, something. I don't know if even approaching the Pac-12 schools, I don't know if that's going to work. Just do something that's going to increase revenue on a year-to-year basis in the ACC, and I think the conference will be okay. If not, not only say goodbye to Florida State, but goodbye to the ACC as we know it. All right, that's all I have. So, anywho, make sure you subscribe again to the channel, like, share, comment. I have an idea that none of you have anything good to say about this. That's okay. And also check out our website, www.theclowntimes.net. That's clown spelled with a K. All right, take care, y'all. Have a good night.